Cool. Call the meeting to order. It's right at 7 o'clock, it looks like. Um, so attendance and. Yep, we missed one today. Cool. Okay, so I need a motion to put Christina in as a voting member tonight.
I make a motion to have Christina as a voting member.
Second? Oh. Okay. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll start a budget workshop, and first up, nice to see you here. We have the American Heritage River Commission. Like to say a few words?
No.
Didn't ask for an increase. And they continue. Separate ratings. Which is for equalizers. Sanitary facility.
I'll share in our meetings, we discussed that if we weren't getting grant funded for some of our testing, our budget would be need to be a lot bigger.
How much grant money do you get?
Just going forward, instead of the 3,000 that we're allocating. We're getting the benefit of some of her grants.
She's given about $1,200-1,300 of her grant first. Okay.
Allocated. And that's mainly because our section of the Scannick River is overlaying numbers with E. coli and other bacteria. And they're very interested in our section, and they're going to give us some of that money. We're the part that's tested the most. We test between 8 and 10 sites, depending on how the numbers start out. We get good data.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
So, next up would be the Veterans Commission.
And he's in two spots. He's in that same activities and fees that American Heritage was in under Memorial Day.
Yep.
For his flags. And then he also has, in the community services section, he has his recording secretary.
Don't, it's pretty straightforward. I think you were asking for the same amount of money, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody else, please? Okay. Then it's the Arts and Culture Commission.
So they are asking for the same dollars and they do some fantastic stuff. Her presentation to the Board of Selectmen was amazing. They've done the mural on the American Heritage. No, the American Legion building, the flag.
Yeah.
If anybody's driven by it, absolutely beautiful. And I think there's a new mural now down at the Warehouse Point Library that they've been involved in. They do a lot of getting together with either community organizations or other people for grants. And they'll do a lot of the legwork, but then the funds will come from somebody else. So she does a lot with her $5,000 that she gets.
They do the display on the front of the building.
The bottle cap. I
Yes.
think they did that too, right?
Yep.
Someday I'm gonna look at that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, some of my pill caps are on there.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll move on to the assessor's office.
Yeah, I don't think she's coming either.
Do we? oh, the assessor.
No significant change. It looks like it's going down, but it's really not. It's only going down because we've already given her $3,800 this year. In professional services tied to reval that she won't need again next year. So that's in her professional services line, the very last line on the first page. It was $250 and that's increasing to $300. But it's currently at $3,875 from additional allocations from contingency that we've done so far this year. So she's really not going down. But really no significant changes. Unless anybody has any specific questions on it. Technically, she has Board of Assessment Appeals too, and that one's exactly the same. We still are fighting, I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 of the 42 cases are still going through the legal process. That's one of the reasons why we had to do legal transfers. But they've already done their assessment meetings and are all set with them this year.
The only other decrease was their books and periodicals, but they must have something they need to renew or do, and that didn't have to do with this year. I mean, it's a decrease, but it doesn't look like it did anything. Or, yeah, we've had to revise the budget for 24-25 to 2,500.
No, she hasn't spent it yet. The 25-20?
Yeah.
She hasn't spent it yet.
Yeah.
I think that's her grand rate books.
Yeah, like for cars, stuff,
No, like the books she prints for people to come look at that sit in the town clerk vault, those kind of books. And they don't have to buy the NADA anymore because now that motor vehicle have changed, there's no pricing anymore. You take the MSRP and depreciate it 15% each year until it gets down to no more than $500 or no less than $500. And that's what you pay tax on.
Okay.
So our motor vehicles went down about $3 million in the grand list because of that.
So how do they do, anyway, so how do they do it like Audi trailer?
A lot of the trailers got waived. Snowmobile trailers aren't charged anymore. There's a lot of them that don't have a charge anymore. That was part of that whole revamp from the state of Connecticut.
Oh, I know. Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay. Righty, so that moves us down to the tax collector, and we probably don't really even have one, do we?
And we do not have a tax collector still. As you'll see, things look a little wonky this year because I keep moving full-time money to the part-time money, except our part-time person just gave her notice too. First, she decided she didn't want to be an accounting major and she was switching to vet tech, and now she decided she doesn't want to work for us. But
Okay.
we are still looking. Tough to find anybody with municipal experience. The person that did accept the job accepted it on Friday and then on Monday told us she wasn't coming. So not a lot we can do about that. So we would love an assistant that wants to be the boss. That would be the ideal spot, but don't have that right now.
A lot of people don't want that, though. They're the assistant.
And
they
I
don't
would
want-
not want to be a tax collector either, because I would not want to steal people's homes. Putting somebody out of their house takes a special breed of person. And that would not be me.
So just out of curiosity on their tax assessment collector, they had a big increase in their printing and binding, whatever that is.
That $2,500, the Board of Selectmen put in at the request of the assessor. They did 3,000 late notices in January when people didn't pay their second half of their bills in January or their motor vehicle subs. They did 3,000 and it took like all week to get them stuffed and done. And the assessor came forward and said, can we pay somebody to do that? It's $2,500. to pay QDS to do that? Can we not have to have everybody in the office doing this? Apparently, the tax collector used to do it with just her assistant. But because there was no tax collector, it got spread far and wide and everybody was helping to get it done. So she asked for the $2,800 more.
All right, so that's, I mean, I guess it's not professional services, but, okay.
It is, it's quality data. That's, if it's a service, it goes there.
Yeah.
If it's paper, it goes under supplies. And if it's the mailing cost, the postage, that goes under postage in the selectmen's budget.
Okay,
So the bill gets split up basically 3 ways.
gotcha.
So we really probably may not even need that next year,
What?
that professional service line as much.
Well, when we need all but the 2,500 if we wanted
Right, the 25.
them to do
yes.
their own delinquents. But.
Maybe we get hired first.
Well, we can hire somebody. yes.
It has been a challenge because it's been now since November. So that's a long time to go with somebody pitch hitting for the position. Because the assessor's doing both her job and of course, she was really busy trying to get grand list done and everything signed off for January 31st and still overseeing the tax office. So it's been very hectic. Not a spot that we should really be without, and we most certainly want somebody here before July gets here.
July's not that far away.
We know. Apparently none of the staff decided they were coming tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy's here. Oh, good. It's on page 3. And it's about 3/4 of the way down. It's a whopping $525 change. But I will say a caveat, nobody who has supervisors or clerical employees or police officers has salary in here. Because all of them are out of contract now or going to be by July 1st. That's why contingency is such a big number, is
Yep.
because all those contracts, supervisor for 2 years, because they actually went out this July 1st. And they're still not settled.
Mm.
So, but town clerk line, straightforward. Crazy. Planning and land use team.
In that same section, just farther down, the next page.
Basically zero increase, but again, that's salaries will be.
Right, no salaries in either, any of that department at all. Because she doesn't have any part-time staff. It's just the planner, the assistant planner, and the staff person. And they're all full-time. Yeah, it looks like they moved some of the dues and fees from the planning and zoning to the ZBA. I think that's who needs what classes when. And then property insurance is really me. And as you see, our deductibles is, way through the roof this year. We just got our third $5,000 one, and then there's a $2,500 one for the roof at the park. So I am asking to go up to 7,500 next year. Now I'm not sure that's enough now that we're at 15 this year.
Traditions.
No,
Are they motor vehicle or just wind?
no, a lot of, professional, officials, public officials and liability claims. Yeah, 2,500 is the roof, which was a storm damage. And that was our deductible for that, but everything else is DNO, director and officer.
So. High commission, whatever. the-
Veterans, we really already did, ag and conservation,
Both things, what?
yeah.
I'll put us in the building department.
Which is in public safety, it's the tail end of the next page. below emergency management.
Down a bit, but yeah, salaries and all will come later.
It's down because Jay and I reduced his, ask for professional services. He was asking for 20 like 4 years ago, and then he dropped to 15, but he's still not using it. The use has been, $200 so far this year, 2,300 last year, 5,000 last year, and 8,700 the year that he started. That we actually paid somebody else to fill in the job for a while. So we really haven't needed it. They do a lot of swapping instead. If Ken's on vacation, some guy from South Windsor will do ours. And then when he's on vacation, Ken will go do his. So there's not a cost. They're just swapping services,
And some of that, I know we were budgeting a little bit extra for the solar.
which has
project,
come and gone without needing any.
too. Yeah, we did.
Yep. Nope. We didn't need any extra services for the inspections tied to the solar.
We didn't need a health plan.
No.
The end I would work by is, looks done. Are they finished with that? No, they're all done.
Yep, it's online.
Okay.
So, but they're trying to expand. They're going back through the siting council to try to buy other land and expand it. Which we have no say over.
Actually, exciting.
Uh-oh. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, but it's probably not land seen, right?
Huh?
It's not gonna be land that you're not gonna see from the road or anywhere. It's probably all back pits and everything back there.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't get more revenue.
Percentage of
from that
land in
either.
East Windsor is
No.
the highest percentage of solar, higher state in East Windsor, so. All right, so anyway, building department basically down just a touch from backing off on professional services. And then anything that gets negotiated will come from contingency to cover any pre-sales.
Yes, both of those guys are out. The only person who has any raise is their part-time person has a 2% raise in there.
That leaves us to our group.
And yours, the only increase, you're on page 1, and the only increase you guys have is the audit. And that's the third year of our third-year contract. As you can see from 3 or 4 years ago, we were paying $40,000 and it jumped to 58. And then it has steadily gone up since to 61.4 now to 64.5. But at least we have auditors, so. And we don't need to go out this year. Always a little bit of touch and go if you have to go out, whether you're gonna get anybody to respond. So that's the contract amount based on the RFP we did 3 years ago.
So how many more years that, that's got one
That's
more?
it.
This is it, this coming year?
This
So-
next one is our last one.
And why is it that people, I mean, the accounting firm just don't want, there's not enough of them, or what's?
Well, at one point Bloom said nothing more than nothing less than $50,000. And I think in Canton, we were 39 at the time.
Yeah.
So they were just getting out of the small town business.
Yeah.
Well, to counter that, you'll see, we went from 44 to 45 to 58.5. So to counter being not enough money, they were losing money on the smaller towns, they just went up. But when we did this one, they were our only firm that even RFP'd. We had one firm RFP, so it's not like we got to choose. So, and most of them, they don't have the staff, they have the same problem government has. Nobody's going into government accounting as an auditor. So then they don't have enough bodies to do the work. And I mean, we're very lucky because we're getting everything filed timely. I have towns counterparts that are 2 years behind in getting their audits filed. I would not accept that, and they know I wouldn't accept that. When we had to extend the second year in a row, when I first got here, I said, that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah.
And they've been very good about making sure we're done by December 31st when we have to be done.
So what's the chances that they'll want to come back and work for us?
Well, I'll still be here, so probably pretty good next year. 3 years from now, I'm not so sure, but I think they want to keep the business they have.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will be higher. I'm sure we'll go from 64.5 to 67 or something. And if you think back that 5 years ago, we were at 44, but it is what it is. I mean, if you want somebody to audit, and we have to by law,
Yeah.
we don't have a choice. Our debt all requires it.
No, it's public
So-
money. You public money gets audited. There's no, we have Pandora's or buts about it.
So unfortunately, it's just a cost of business.
Okay.
And that's your only increase.
Yeah.
$3,100.
In the general scheme of the entire town budget, it's a small portion, but still, it's.
Yes.
Any other things on Board of Finance one? Obviously, Amy's treasury budget is in here as well.
So treasurer, I have a few changes. The raise in there is mine because I am in contract. My part-time person has a raise in there. I have an increase in overtime because we are out already this year. And that's only $200, even though it's 4.35%. And a little bit of an increase in longevity just because the contract, my person who's been here since 2010 is getting to the next step, which must be 15 years. And then the increase in the payroll service is just costing us more. I'm not sure we're gonna have enough by the end of this year. Last year was 16.3 and we only have 17.4 budgeted this year. We pay by the person for all our services, including all the part-time people who work for the fire service. So the more shifts they add, the more cost it costs us. And then we pay by person for 1095s and W-2s because we have a payroll service. And that's the sum total of my 1.67% increase. Yep. The CIP committee, I just did the same $875. It's 7 meetings.
Oh, no, for, yeah.
And the one that hasn't happened yet will happen in June after the budget's passed. So they will spend their whole $875, and that's what I'm asking for next year. Oh, insurance, I kind of already did. Sorry. I didn't know it was on here separate. It falls in the middle of all the commissions. It's the weirdest spot. But that is going up 1.7%, mostly in the deductible, as I discussed, and a little bit in the black premium. Employee benefits.
It's, that's it, yeah.
That's the very last page. And I do have some changes here. I didn't bring them though. Maybe I did. Um, uh, we got the valuation for the pension. So that one is gonna stay flat. In the pension meeting, Becky from Milliman came to present. And she had several of our groups going down, which I had a difference of opinion on. Just because we had vacancies as of 7/1 doesn't mean those positions have really gone. So the decision was unilaterally to keep it at current. So right now we paid $684,175 this year. That's what that budget will be when we make an adjustment.
So you're not going to 703, we're gonna stay.
We're gonna stay at $684,175. And we're gonna do that, the Board of Ed is gonna do that, and WPCA is gonna do that. So we're all gonna contribute, even though the valuations came in lower, we're gonna contribute the same amount we contributed this year. So that we don't have a big hole next year when all those positions are filled.
Okay.
Except we might be in the same spot. We just lost another DPW worker, so we've lost 2 in the last 2 months.
They retire or quit.
Leave to go somewhere else.
Moved on.
So going somewhere else. So unfortunately, those positions take a while to fill. Our tax collector's still empty. I don't think we have a patrol spot still open. They promoted the community services officer, but there's still a patrol spot open. So, and that's one of the reasons when you start looking at the end of the year, and when I start looking at the end of the year, we will have salary savings and some FICA savings because we have spots that are open. And we're not paying insurance for people if they're not here. We're not paying FICA for them. So let's see, what are my other changes? The pension's one of them. The 457, I went up because I don't have enough this year. We're gonna be in the hole this year. And that's just all the people that are leaving, that are DB people, are being replaced with hybrid or DC people. So we have a match to make with that. And the police are pretty good about telling all their new people to get on and contribute to the 457 and get their match for that also, which is totally voluntary, but there is a match tied to that. And I calculated out based on what we're paying in payroll times the number of payrolls for my number for next year. OPEB, we just have a slice that we actually pay in. As you see this year, we paid $17,000. That went to Webster to go into our actual investment account. But the rest is either paid to people. So like the person that just gave their notice, they will get a payout because they've been here more than 10 years. So they will get a payout and that will get charged to that line. Tuition reimbursement just is if somebody goes to a class or somebody gets a certificate, they get a one-time payment. That's what you see in the small payments, the 600, the 400, the 600. That's what all those are. 15,000, I was thinking we weren't gonna need unemployment, but we just got told that 2 people, including an ex-police officer who went to work for somebody else, is starting to collect because he works in construction. So we will be on the hook because he hasn't been gone for 2 years yet. So we will have an unemployment claim this year, probably about $10,000 of the 15 that we budget. And 2 of the last 3 years we've needed it, so. Workers' comp, I think that's a pretty accurate, close number. We're at 117 already for the current year, but we have paid all quarterly payments. Health insurance, that's gonna come down a little bit. I think it's gonna come to $18.95, except the person that just gave their notice is not on our insurance. And typically when it's a vacancy, we fill it as a family. And right now he's in lieu, so he's getting paid $5,000 a year. And instead of a single person's 12 and a family's 30 something, so. So I'm thinking it's coming down, but I guess we need to relook at that. Heart and hypertension, that is somebody who has heart issues that we just pay the bills. We had a huge bill this year, but we moved it over to the heart and hypertension fund. It was $67,000 in 1 month. So we moved it out of this fund and over to where there's money set aside for these claims. And physicals is just physicals.
Yeah, the heart and hypertension, if that doesn't get used, it goes to that fund.
Yep.
But we don't have many people left in that group, right?
Well, we just settled with one last year, I think. Let's see if I can tell. Yep, in the 22-23 year, that payment is a settlement. So,
Because I think the number of people in that, or are left in that is pretty small.
yeah, I think there's a few more still eligible that are still current police officers. So I think right now we have about 300,000 in the fund.
Okay.
So. And that's employee benefits. The
Yeah.
biggest is obviously insurance, and that's 9.4% is the increase there.
The 27th payroll that you guys, that's come down since you first put in the budget, or is that just a miscalculation? It says 65 and it's dropped to 52.
Oh, so that's the correct guess,
Okay,
based on the payroll so it goes by the days of the week. So the 8,500 is a Sunday. So that's not really a good
oh, yeah,
indication of what that would be.
Yeah.
So this year will be a better because it will be a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because it was leap year.
okay.
And then the next year will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It just keeps getting one day more. So the 52 is my best guess.
And Amy, have we settled with the teachers that were with the pension?
Teachers don't have pension. Now I'm a little confused.
But that we had at the last pension meeting? That there were,
Well, they had some people they screwed, they put on the,
Well, they were letting people, the Board of Ed was letting people on
yeah.
that shouldn't have been on there, but that's not teachers.
maybe I'm.
No teachers are on our pension.
Not the teachers, then, okay.
Yeah.
There were members that have gone and were still got their money.
Oh, we were working on that, actually.
Okay.
I jugged the Board of Ed to say, hey, you need to be working on this. And it's been very interesting, actually. As we started, there was 219 people on the plan. 150 of them were not vested and just had employee contributions in there. And their concern was that we were paying interest to those people. So the longer we hold their money,
Right.
the more that balance grows. So we have reached out to many of them, and we are taking care of them a slice at a time. Unfortunately, we're the ones doing the work. They get the contact information, and then my people do the work. They're the ones sending the letters out. They're the ones dealing with the letters when they come back. So it ended up being our project, but they have to initiate it because the people don't work for us. I don't have employee records on them
Right.
because they're not our employees. So it's kind of, but yeah, so no, those are a mix of people. Some are cafeteria, some are paras, some are custodian. All it is, it could be IT, it could be anybody. Doesn't matter who they were. If they came and didn't stay there 5 years before they vested, they're sitting out there waiting to get their money. And we did have a few on the town too,
Oh,
that we had to take care of. We're working on all of them. But it will be a big process. I hope to be all done by June 30. But it's a big process.
oh, I thought you were gonna say before you retire.
No. No, we'd like it cleaned up by the time we do the next valuation. 7/1 is our next valuation. So if we can get them cleaned up, we would be way happier. So that's employee benefits.
Any questions?
And revenues. So I didn't bring a revenue sheet, but there is one in Jay's presentation. That's mine. It's really not his, it's mine. But, maybe he doesn't have the revenue sheet. So the revenue sheets are probably better if we use the ones in the back. At the very back, the munis reports, the last 3 pages of revenue. On Jason's, do you have Jason's presentation?
Yeah, that's right here.
Right here. Yeah, the back 3 pages. Oh, do you not have one? It was when Jason.
Public Works.
You can have it. All right. So we'll talk about what we did in revenue. So the town aid road came right from the governor's budget. One of the things Jay talked about last night was the $1 million is still in there for Pequot. It is still in the governor's budget. So we did leave it in there. Everything else pretty much is the same. We won't get any motor vehicle sup, so that has current year actuals in it, but no budget for next year because there isn't any because we're back under the cap for the motor vehicle tax cap. Does anybody have any questions on that section?
My only. I guess it's a question, but I guess it's more of a just a discussion point. $1 million from the Pequot,
Yeah.
that last year we got this year. Why? I mean, what's the reason? I mean, is this gonna continue, not continue?
We have no idea. So the first year it came, we didn't know it was coming. So I didn't budget for it in last year because we didn't find out it was coming until June. And we had already passed our budget by then. This year, we included it in the budget because we knew it was coming because it was a 2-year budget and it had it in there both years. He's just proposed a new 2-year budget and it still has it in there. So we don't know what the real story is on whether it's coming, staying, our new number, we don't know.
All right.
But it is in there currently.
I said, my only
Yeah, my concern is if it goes away, it's a huge hole. Yep,
is.
100%.
And I mean, basically, it's $1 million, that just goes basically right to a tax increase, basically, if it goes away, then.
Right.
But if we have it, if it's, I mean, for the 2-year, we're still in the 2-year, no, we're in 2-year, I don't know. What we are.
No, this is the start of a new 2-year for him.
2-year for him, so.
Yeah, and it's in there right now. So, I don't know. You know, we hadn't put it in there originally, and then his numbers came out and it had it in there. So we were like, okay, do we or don't we? And we decided that we always budget his numbers.
Yeah.
When his budget comes out the first part of February, those are the revenue numbers we use. So to be consistent, that's what we did. But yes, you're right. If it goes away, there's a hole. But
There's always been.
other towns are having problems with that motor vehicle tax cap problem. But if you notice, I never budgeted for it. There's 3 years of it, but I never had a budget for it. Because that was my same point. If I budget for extra, then next year it's a hole.
Mhm.
Where if I just leave it as part of the tax collector current revenue, and if she's a little short, that's a better spot for it than having it as a supplemental money coming from the government that then is gonna go away. And it is going away. We got it this year, but we will not get it next year. We got it this year because there were 1 year in arrears. We actually went below the cap a year ago when we did reval.
3,233.
Yeah, 3,246.
3,246.
And we're at 24,560 right now. So that is the state part of the revenue. The only other big changes are in tax collector and treasurer. If you look at the history, we have been way under budgeting. Prior year taxes, motor vehicle sup, interest and liens. And that was just the tax collector that we had never wanted to because she liked to look like she did a great job and collected a lot more. So she knew, I mean, if you look at the history, 372, 588, 412, 246. So each year we've been significantly above $60,000, but we continue to only budget at $60,000. So Jay and I looked at them and came up with reasonable numbers based on what's there. And we did that for motor vehicle sup. Well, you guys had upped motor vehicle sup a few years ago, but still coming in significantly higher, 472, 423, and 491. And currently we're already at 369, 1 month in. So, and then same with interest and liens, 258, 266, 341, and already 187 so far this year.
So, but if we don't have a tax collector, are we gonna have that revenue come in?
Well, they still have to pay it, right?
Well, I
If
know
you're,
they have to
if you're
pay it,
gonna
but-
settle, if you're gonna settle your tax bill up, you're gonna pay interest and liens and prior taxes. So,
So,
will we have somebody aggressively selling houses? Not without a tax collector.
so this is money that's, it could be just like a year old or something. It's
Right.
not like old.
Right.
Okay, all right.
And I don't think there's anything really old out there.
She's pretty much cleaned that up.
Yeah. I mean, she's really stuck on top of it to get everybody. I heard we got $172,000 today from Calamar. So that over 55 housing that we keep waiting to hear it's opening. They actually came in for a sign off.
Okay.
So it might actually be opening.
Okay.
And they paid their taxes today.
Good. All right.
That was a very good thing. All right, and treasurer's, the other one is he upped the interest income, but with 506 last year and 748, or 506 2 years ago, 784 last year, and 371 already this year, I would have been hard pressed to say no, not for 450. So those are the big changes. I don't think anybody else has any changes. Oh, we did reduce park and rec because their snack bar is not gonna be open on the weekends anymore because they have to have a full food certified person to do it. And nobody wants to spend their weekend at the park. So that the park admissions is down and the food and beverage is down.
So this is just, again, looking, use of fund balances in there at 1.2 million.
Yep. And that one, I mean, we've been able to sustain that.
Now, why haven't we used it in the prior years though? It says 0.
Yeah, because the auditors don't let you actually spend it. It just shows that this is how much revenue you brought in and this is your expenditure. And if you looked at the audit, it would show whether it was in the positive or in the negative. But in most cases, we brought in more than enough revenue or saved enough expenditures to not need it. Last year, we had to use some of it because we did that $2.2 million at the end of the year also, in addition to the 1.2 for the radio match and the 2 roofs that we did.
Yeah.
So if you looked at the audit last year, you would see that
Yeah.
there was a reduction in fund balance. We're actually down to just over 20%. We're still above our max, but barely, only by a couple $100,000, where before we had been millions of dollars over.
Yeah. So even if we're only a couple $100,000 over, it's I guess puts us in our range if we
Right.
had to use it.
If we had to use it, we would end up in our range. Yep,
So I mean, and you know the number, because so in 23, 22, 23, whatever. Did we actually need to use fund balance money to balance the budget?
No.
We did not.
we didn't,
Technically, we have not used it yet,
except last year.
except for, and that was because we put in capital
Right, we did $2 million of other
projects.
allocations
Okay.
from it.
All right. 'Cause
But
again,
no, we haven't needed it to balance the budget.
again, this is just goes to me being me, I guess. Because if all of a sudden we can't use the fund balance anymore, there's $1.2 million that we are putting in there to keep the mill rate low.
That you would have to come up with the tax
And
dollars.
the state of Connecticut says, sorry, you ain't getting your $1 million anymore. There's $2.2 million that we don't
Right.
have,
Yep,
which is a
Yep.
big increase. So, but if we're not using it, haven't used it, and our track record hasn't been, I guess it's okay, but it just, to me, it's a big number to have in there.
I 100% agree with you.
Cause I'm just, to me, I just like, I mean, even the Pequot money. To me, you take, I mean, and this is the way I run my businesses or whatever, is I take, anytime I get a grant or something, I mean, I just spend that money on a capital project. I don't use it to pay my expenses. That's just my way of doing things but because it does, eventually it goes away.
Yep,
And that's just just me, that's just the way I think. I don't know what thoughts are, but that's just the way when you get something like that, if we're always saying we have capital projects we need to use. But I guess it has to go into the budget. I don't know how, I'm not an accountant or anything like that, but to me, it's just, I'd rather see it be used for major projects instead of to pay operating expenses. But that's just me. Any other comments, thoughts?
I did find the motor vehicle reduction. It's $22 million that we lost, 16% with the change to.
Oh.
So everybody's tax bills on their motor vehicle should be going down.
Any other comments, questions on that? All right, anybody would like to discuss it? It's right here. Anything that we went over tonight, I mean, everything we did tonight is pretty minimal, straightforward, normal operating increases.
Yeah.
Nothing stuck out to me that they red flag or anything like that. I'll just open it up for final comments. With the police department and the high school.
I don't see a lot of room for cutting.
I don't know.
Typically what we can with that every year, for the most part.
So that. And
That's fine.
Brett, I'm not a big concern, but just my thoughts on the revenue side. It's just something that to me just sticks out, that if it goes away, it's something this board's gonna have to eat. Hey, we used it, but it's not there anymore.
We heard from Denise last night, who was urging us to consider increasing the capital improvement budget at some point. Is that something that we want to talk about, or? I happen to find it sort of a valuable thought.
Yeah, no, I think so. I don't know if I think we have that in here. Is it? That CIP is set or scheduled in there on the 7th, so I guess by agenda reason, we would have to do it on the 7th.
Yeah, okay.
We're around. Good. Eddie, good.
Just that I won't be here.
And we are working on trying to see if she could participate via Zoom.
That's fine. I have no problem.
I don't know if we have to then post it as a hybrid meeting again, like we used to do with all that Zoom information on it.
I mean,
I'm trying
if
to
it's
find
for
the
a
answer
committee
from
member-
FO. Well, I'm trying to find the answer from FOI
okay,
so that we don't get ourselves in
okay.
a
Well,
situation,
we
but
have to, we have to post it, but if not, I mean,
Oh.
that's the first.
Brand Neil was trying to get in. Fran? Fran?
Yeah, that's so our next meeting is next Tuesday, the 1st, and that's Broadbrook Library Cemetery Association, Warehouse Point Library, the registrars, Broadbrook Fire Department, and the Board of Education. Broadbrook Fire is their own budget that we still have to. This, because it's a separate, question on the ballot. Referendum. It still goes to this committee. Of warehouse plan. All right.
Right, but we have to approve it.
We have to approve it, yes. Yep. All right, with that, if we have no other comments, they said next Tuesday will be our next meeting and motion to adjourn it. Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
See those opposed, motion seems to be here.
Yep. Municipal revenue sharing?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be the 0.10.